Both the NBA and college basketball have been going on for about a month now, and we've got to see how some of the top NBA draft prospects have performed. And in today's video, I'm going through my first official mock draft of the 2026 NBA draft cycle. But before we get into the mock draft, if you enjoy the content, please consider dropping a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. And now, let's jump into it. And with the first pick, I have the Washington Wizards selecting Darryn Peterson, and Washington is desperate for a franchise-changing piece as they are bottom 5 in a lot of different statistical categories, and Peterson opened the year electric, scoring 43 points in just 2 games with the Kansas Jayhawks before an injury sidelined him, but his tape already shows elite burst, slithery creation, and a tough shot-making ability, and defensively, he's aggressive and turns mistakes into transition points, and through those 2 games, he had a 72% effective field goal percentage and projects as a guard who can finally elevate the Wizards franchise. The Atlanta Hawks have the second pick and select Cameron Boozer, and Atlanta would now pair Boozer with Trae Young and Jalen Johnson, which gives them another high IQ player and additional front court playmaking. Boozer has punished early teams and is currently leading Duke in assists with his sharp reads and quick decisions out of double teams, and his shooting, closeout attacks, and defensive impact, where he adds in 1.7 steals and 1.5 blocks per game, add versatility even if his finishing at the rim against some top teams needs some growth, but for an Atlanta roster that is already loaded with scorers, Boozer's feel and two-way output could be the missing piece. With the third pick, the Indiana Pacers select AJ Dybantsa, and the Pacers are just a year removed from the finals, but now without Halliburton or Miles Turner, Indiana resets with the top 3 pick and a top-tier scoring pedigree performer in Dybantsa, and his play so far mirrors preseason expectations as he has showcased overpowering drives, sharp mid-range mechanics, and high-release shot making from tough angles. He creates in isolation in the post, transition, and ball screens, though his off-ball scoring has remained limited at times, and his shot selection and decision making are swing variables compared to Peterson and Boozer, but the upside remains star level and maybe the highest out of the top 3. At number 4, the Brooklyn Nets select Caleb Wilson, and this season, Brooklyn ranks near the bottom defensively and struggles securing rebounds, and Wilson would directly address that as he leads the nation in box plus minus while averaging 20 points on 59% shooting with 10 rebounds, 2 assists, nearly 2 steals, and 1.5 blocks per game, and has emerged as the 4th headliner in this class to me. His ferocious dunks, slashing ability, defensive instincts, and translatable off-ball reads point to a two-way cornerstone at the next level, and Wilson would bring elite activity and athleticism to a Nets roster that is starving for it. And with the 5th pick, the Dallas Mavericks select Mikel Brown Jr. from Louisville, and with Kyrie's future unclear, Dallas prepares for a younger backcourt with this pick to complement last year's number 1 pick in Cooper Flagg. Brown is a confident perimeter threat, and his pick-and-roll feel helps diversify his offensive game. His 29.5 assist night versus Kentucky flashed his command of an offense, burst off screens, and his shot creation, but his turnovers and occasional low-percentage threes do need some refining, but his talent for sure pops, and Brown seems to fit the long-term vision in Dallas to me. The Sacramento Kings select Nate Ament with the 6th pick in the draft as the franchise seems to be potentially headed toward a full rebuild, so this pick would be a swing at upside. Ament is a 6'10 shot maker who rises over contests with ease, and his jumper looks pure, and he's comfortable from mid-range and deep. However, his handle and physicality remain raw, and his limited decisiveness off the bounce, but his 2 steals per game and defensive play highlight some disruptive instincts on that end, and with this pick, Sacramento would be betting on a long-term creation upside from Ament and a strong foundation that could be molded into their next franchise player. The Oklahoma City Thunder land at number 7 thanks to the Clippers and take a swing on Jayden Quaintance from Kentucky. And the Thunder would be adding another defensive anchor with rare physical tools, as Quaintance has a 7'5 wingspan and averaged 2.5 blocks and 1 steal per game as just a 17-year-old freshman last year at Arizona State. And he shot 60% inside the arc and posted nearly a 10% block rate and projects as an immediate rim protector and lob finisher at the next level. However, he is still recovering from an ACL injury which complicates his timeline, but his age and flashes offer tremendous upside. And with the 8th pick, the Charlotte Hornets select Arizona forward Koa Peat, and Koa Peat wasted no time showcasing his talent at the collegiate level as he went off for 30 points and 5 assists versus Florida in his debut and was also dominant against UConn with his strength, touch, and polished footwork on full display. The 6'8", 235-pound forward thrives through tough twos and short-range followays, even without a three-point make yet this year. And although some question his ceiling due to his lack of spacing currently, his productivity and maturity at just 18 years old stand out, and Charlotte will be adding a physical front-court presence capable of solid rotation minutes early on in his career. At number 9, the Oklahoma City Thunder have their second pick in the top 10 and select Chris Cenac Jr., and the Thunder will be doubling down on size and mobility with Cenac, as he is a 6'11 finisher who scores efficiently at the rim and can step out and hit rhythm threes. His follow-away jumpers, movement, and vertical finishing give him a plug-and-play projection as well, but his swing skill will be his impact beyond just scoring, as his defensive playmaking and passing lag behind, with just 0.4 assists and 3 fouls averaged per game. But if he gets better on that end, the Thunder could unlock a stretch big with some real athletic upside. And with the 10th pick, the Milwaukee Bucks select UConn sharpshooter Braylon Mullins, and Milwaukee is seeking size and two-way reliability currently at the shooting guard position, and will be upgrading from smaller options like AJ Green while retaining perimeter scoring. And Mullins profiles as one of the class's best freshman shooters, and is a 6'5 floor spacer with off-movement touch, transition pop, and defensive toughness. And UConn will feature him off the ball mainly, as he'll be spotting up, cutting, and firing off screens with a quick release, and he would fit nicely in the Bucks offense and play off of Giannis well. With the 11th pick, the Memphis Grizzlies select Labaron Philon from Alabama, and Memphis may soon be preparing for life after John Morant, and Philon is one of the most natural long-term replacements in this draft class in my opinion. His second half takeover versus Illinois highlighted an improved shooting confidence, while his shiftiness, tight handle, and paint footwork consistently create advantages on the offensive end. He's averaging 5.7 assists for the nation's 4th fastest offense so far, and uses rim pressure and a deadly floater to generate scoring and playmaking, and Philon projects as a lead guard who can run an NBA offense early. At number 12, I have the Portland Trailblazers selecting Karim Lopez, and Portland has guards and a defensive anchor in Donovan Clean, but needs another versatile forward, and Lopez would fit nicely. At 6'8" and 225 pounds, he's already producing in the NBL with strength, touch, and spot-up shooting. And the perimeter flashes are what really drive his upside for me, though he lacks an in-between game and needs defensive growth. But at just 18 years old, his ball handling fluidity, physical frame, and floor spacing ability would complement Scoot Henderson and Portland well. With the 13th pick, the Chicago Bulls select Tounde Yessoufou out of Baylor, and Yessoufou already brings NBA-level strength and motor to the table, as he generates easy buckets and rebounds and defends well, but the swing skill is his shooting, as he has started slow in that department and is hitting just 27% on 5.5 attempts from deep per game. But the physical tools and mentality point toward a high floor rotation impact early on, and could emerge even more if his shooting consistency continues to grow. But for a roster needing toughness and rim pressure like Chicago, he would instantly add that and more. The Boston Celtics have the 14th pick and select the senior point guard out of Iowa in Bennett Stirtz. And Stirtz has carved up his opponents so far this season with pick and roll poise, shooting versatility, and high IQ creation, and Boston values guards who process the game quickly. And while his age and limited burst lower his perceived ceiling by some, his floor is among the safest in this range of the draft. And Stirtz could come in day one and be a rotational guard who shoots and can operate both on or off the ball, and would fit perfectly into a contending core in Boston that needs high IQ players coming off the bench. With the 15th pick, the Golden State Warriors select Florida forward Thomas Haugh, and Haugh is a winning culture glue piece and mirrors Golden State's identity, as his game is built on hustle, movement, and play finishing. His 27-point debut this season versus Arizona showcased his cutting and vertical finishing, while his 3 triples against Miami flash wing or stretch 4 potential, and the Warriors are top 3 in points off screens, deflections, and charges drawn this season, and thrive on players with instinct and high effort, and Haugh is that and has a high floor trajectory, and although this is a bit higher than where he is projected to go by most, it just feels like he would fit in seamlessly in Golden State. At number 16, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Darius Acuff Jr., and with this pick, Minnesota moves toward future backcourt stability, with Mike Conley likely on his way out, and will be pairing Acuff beside Anthony Edwards for long-term control in the backcourt and rim pressure scoring. The freshman guard has showcased his shiftiness off the dribble with smooth, change-of-pace attacks, and he also has confidence as a pull-up shooter, and his 4.5 assists per game for Arkansas highlight read and react IQ and ball screens, while his finishing through through contact, eases some of his size concerns, and Acuff could become a dynamic engine capable of running Minnesota's offense alongside Edwards for years to come. And with the 17th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder get to select their third first-rounder and go with Kingston Flemings from Houston. And Oklahoma City would be adding another young initiator behind a playoff-built roster that leans on versatility and tempo, and Flemings brings both of those things. The freshman opened the season hot, including a 22.7 assist and 5 rebound game against a ranked Auburn team, and has validated his scoring craft and shot creation all season long with his play. And he is one of the biggest risers so far in the early season, and while he profiles as a lead guard, his comfort attacking closeouts fits OKC's movement ecosystem and projecting as a high-energy rotation spark for their team. The Atlanta Hawks come in with the 18th pick and select Neoklis Avdalas from Virginia Tech. And Atlanta would be swinging on a jumbo creator with a 6'9 frame, and he has showed out early in the college season, including a 33.6 assist performance against Providence in an overtime win. And Avdalas blends advantage creation with his size, vision, and a confident pull-up package after shooting 35.5% from 3 overseas last year, and currently he has very high usage, which would for sure drop when playing beside Trae Young, but his versatility still remains appealing, and if the shooting maintains, Atlanta will be getting a multi-positional guard with a high playmaking upside. At number 19, the Memphis Grizzlies select Duke's international prospect in Dame Sarr, and Memphis would be doubling down on perimeter defense and athletic wings with this pick after securing Labaron Philon earlier in the first round. And Sarr's early profile revolves around spot-up shooting, transition burst, and point-of-attack pressure, which are all tools Memphis covets in their rugged defensive identity. And while he is raw as a ball handler, the shooting confidence has come early, and his physical tools translate cleanly to slashing lanes and assignment flexibility. In a wing-hungry ecosystem, he projects as a rotation defender from day one with a developing offensive game over time. And with the 20th pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Michigan transfer forward Yaxel Lendeborg, and the Spurs would be adding multi-purpose frontcourt versatility beside Wembanyama, as Lendeborg boasts elite strength, mobility, and defense. And Lendeborg's production jump has come fast at the high major level, as he is averaging 16 points, 7.5 boards, 3 assists, and nearly 3 stocks per game. And at 6'9" and 240 pounds, he finishes through contact, dominates in transition, and has flashed improved shot making that could unlock a stretch 4 potential. However, his age does trim his ceiling slightly, but his floor is extremely high and would slot in perfectly into San Antonio's timeline. With the 21st pick, the Charlotte Hornets select Patrick Ngonga II, and Ngonga is a steady interior anchor and fits Charlotte's push to surround LaMelo Ball with reliable finishers. The 6'11", 250-pound Blue Devil big man brings soft hands, patient touch, and face-up scoring polish, and offers more craft than flash. Duke bumped his roll-up even more this season, and he's delivered so far with efficient rim play, playmaking reads, and strong 2-foot balance around the basket. And with Kalkbrenner as a benchmark, Ngonga gives Charlotte some more stable frontcourt minutes, interior passing, and 3-phase finishing upside, and could be a high-quality depth piece with a quiet long-term payoff. At number 22, the New York Knicks select Washington big man Hannes Steinbach, and Steinbach is a 6'11" big and pairs a soft touch around the rim with a strong knack for rebounding, grabbing 5.5 offensive rebounds per game while scoring an efficient 14.5 points on average. He has also shown some transition rim runs, short roll passing, and patient footwork, which highlight him as a multi-dimensional big who rarely forces mistakes. Defensively, flashes of weak side timing and spacing coverage raise his floor even further, and New York lacks depth behind its starting core, and Steinbach would slot in as a positive rotational big for them. With the 23rd pick, the Miami Heat select Arkansas freshman guard Meleek Thomas, and Thomas is a bucket by design, and Miami loves scorers who compete. Thomas's 26-point outburst versus Winthrop showcased his pull-up jumper range, rim aggression, and instant offense confidence, and his handle is fluid, the jumper is elite, and the first step forces help rotations from defenders. And while he still projects more as a scorer than an initiator, his smooth 3-level creation fits nicely into a Heat system built on development and shot creation, and Thomas has a sky-high upside, and with perimeter scoring always being a need in the NBA, Thomas will supply it in volume. I have the Denver Nuggets selecting Tahaad Pettiford at number 24, as Denver has long needed a guard who can survive non-Jokic minutes and self-generate offense, and Pettiford is built for that, as we saw his spark plug electricity off the bench on his Auburn team last season as a freshman. And this year, Pettiford has had to shake off an early slump, but over his past 3 games, he is averaging 22.5 points on nearly 50% shooting from the field and 42% from 3, and has reaffirmed his identity as an elite bucket getter. And although his size at 6'1" will more than likely cap his ceiling in the league, his burst and creativity should enable him to be a great backup guard at the next level. At number 25, the Cleveland Cavaliers select the 4th Duke player in the first round in Isaiah Evans, and Evans is a movement shooting specialist and thrives at curling off screens, relocating into 3-pointers, and staying efficient as Duke's second scoring option at 12.5 points per game behind only Cameron Boozer. And I could see Cleveland targeting Evans for his elite perimeter gravity and rotational scoring, and he supplies it without needing dribbles or high usage. And while his upside hinges on his growth as a self-creator, his floor is built on his long-range shooting and his off-ball efficiency. The Toronto Raptors select Flory Bidunga with the 26th pick in the draft, as Toronto swings for upside with Bidunga and will be betting on physical tools, motor, and his vertical pop. Bidunga's burst and second jump power turned heads at Madison Square Garden when he outleaped Cameron Boozer and Patrick Ngonga for finishes at the rim, and the Raptors seem to value interior athletes who pressure the rim and cover ground defensively, and Bidunga checks both of those boxes. And if the finishing polish continues, Bidunga will become more than a rim runner and turn into an interior weapon with a high defensive ceiling and a real developmental runway. With the 27th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder are up once again and select Karter Knox from Arkansas, and will be adding another long forward to their pipeline. Knox's shot making and frame project neatly into a low usage spacing role, even as touches remain limited beside Meleek Thomas and Darius Acuff Jr. currently at Arkansas, and the Thunder values size plus spacing bets, and Knox offers both as a cutter, spot-up shooter, and wing defender, and his upside scales with his usage growth, but even in a complementary role, he fits nicely in OKC's developmental system with his flashes of length, shooting, and defensive tools with room to stretch even further. At number 28, I have the Los Angeles Lakers selecting National Player of the Year candidate JT Toppin out of Texas Tech, and Toppin opened the year with back-to-back 30-point performances and is now averaging 21.5 points and 11.5 boards on the year. Toppin powers through defenders with strength and second-chance creation, and his soft interior touch and post-scoring translate cleanly to the next level, while he has flashed some catch-and-shoot potential as well. And even without the upside of becoming a star in the league, his floor is extremely high, and for a win-now roster in the Los Angeles Lakers, Toppin could become a plug-and-play frontcourt contributor immediately. And with the 29th pick, the Detroit Pistons select Cameron Carr, who may be the biggest riser in the 2026 NBA draft cycle so far. And Detroit seems to target wings with scoring ability, and Carr brings it through high elevation pull-up jumpers, long stride drives, and a confident 3-ball. And Carr was limited early in his college career at Tennessee, but this year at Baylor, he has surged back as a shot-making wing with real vertical pop and clean catch-and-shoot mechanics, and his flashes as a 3-level threat paired with defensive length make him a scalable off-ball scorer next to Cade Cunningham. And with the 30th and last pick in the first round, the Washington Wizards select Arizona freshman Brayden Burries, and Burries is a rhythm-based scorer in need of time to develop, which Washington could be an ideal fit for him with their rebuilding environment. And at 6'4", 205 pounds, Burries uses his strength and balance to finish floaters, attack downhill, and space out to the 3-point line, but consistency remains the swing skill for him, and currently he is averaging 10.5 points, nearly 3 rebounds, and 2.5 assists on the year, but his production is trending upwards as of late, and Washington would be taking a bet on his growth as a consistent scorer, which could pay off in the long term. But that wraps it up for today's video. Let me know your thoughts on my first official 2026 mock draft in the comments down below. Also, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.